everyone, it's Lydia here at Lydia's Leisurely Stitching. Today is Monday, January 16th, 2023, and I'm here to give you a recap of my 2022 stitching year. So what I'm going to do today is I'm going to walk through the projects that I worked on last year, kind of based off of chronologically when I started them, when I finished them, what was happening last year. So last year I started the year with 4 WIPs. I had 7 finishes, 10 starts, 1 UFO, and I ended the year with 6 WIPs. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start in January and work my way through to December. So to start off in January, I had a finish, and this is He Loves Me, He Loves Me Not by Cuore Batticuore. They're an Italian designer on Etsy, and I stitched this on 32 count waxing moon, 32 count, I wrote down waxing moon, but that's not right, Silvery Moon, Silver Wintry Moon by Zweigart. And I finished it on January 31st, 2023. So here it is. And with this one, my first finish of the year, I did make some changes. I changed Lady Gnome's outfit to be purple. I changed the hair colors to match my husband's hair color and my hair color. And my husband recharted the sweater on the male gnome to look like his favorite sweater. This one I stitched on 10 days last year, and it took me a total of 44 stitching days to get this one done. I love this one. It's just perfect. Everything about it is exactly how I wanted it to be. Okay. And then next one is Pumpkins for Sale by Cottage Garden Samplings. I started this on January 23rd, 2022, and I stitched on it for 7 days. Here it is. And this one is my UFO. So I started it in January, and I haven't worked on it since then. It's been a year, and I thought about pulling it out in October, but I just didn't really feel like it. So I'm putting this one in my UFO pile. One thing that I wanted to do last year, I was considerably more organized at the beginning of 2022 than I am now. And what I wanted to do last year was work through the patterns that I had in the order that I acquired them. So this Pumpkins for Sale was the chart that I had had in my stash the longest, and so that's why I started it. And something that I learned is that just because you enjoyed it at one point of time doesn't mean that it's going to always be your style. So this one, between the time that I acquired the chart and the time that I actually got to stitching the chart, my taste changed enough that this is no longer something that I'm just dying to stitch. So that's why it's going in the UFO pile. So next one is Taking It EC by Silver Creek Samplers. And I started it on February 28th, 2022. It's stitched on 32 count Waxing Moon Lugana from Fabric Flare, and it took me a total of 21 days to stitch it. I finished it on May 16th, 2022. And here it is. This one I started when I was in the Maldives. My husband and I went for our 5th anniversary this year. and it says, "At the beach is where I find a place to let my soul unwind." And I just love this. I love her pretty blue dress and the yellow hat. The seagull is a cutie. It's wonderful, and it's going on my ocean-themed wall. The next one I don't have to show you. It is Moonrise Snail by Black Needle Society, and I didn't do the best job this year of keeping track, so I'm not exactly sure when I started it, but I know I finished it before StitchCon because it was my StitchCon Smalls Exchange piece. And so I'm going to put in a picture here of what it looked like. It was stitched on 32 count Powerberry Lugana by To Die For Fabrics and More. Another one that, as I was going through and preparing for this video, I realized I had kind of forgotten about is this rubber duck by Mill Hill. He's so cute. I love his little bubbles on top of his head. And again, I didn't do the best at keeping track of when I started him or when I finished him, how many stitching days, but he's just a cutie. He lives on my refrigerator now. And then I started Prairie Fairies by the Prairie Schooler. I started them on May 31st, 2022, and they are stitched on 32 count Waxy Moon Lugana by Fabric Fair. And I'll put in a picture of what it looked like last time I showed it to you, because last time it was not finished. This is my progress since October. I finished the fairy with the mop on the bird, on the rabbit, and then I started and finished the fairy on the blackbird. This took me a total of 16 stitching days that I recorded. And I love them. I changed pretty much all of the colors in this piece to make it colors that I thought would stand out a little bit more or were more realistic. The frog was supposed to be kind of brown. I wanted a green frog. I made the snail. He was also brown. He's kind of more of a sluggish color. I did go back and change the water from the watering can to match the water coming out of the mop bucket. They're just adorable. And I'm really pleased that I started them and finished them all in 1 year. And I'm also happy with how the counting turned out. I was worried about making them square, but I counted and they all lined up in the end just perfectly. So those are my Prairie Fairies. The next start I had was on June 10th, 2022, and it is Saltwater Scrapbook by Lindy Stitches in the Blue Flower. There are a total of 9 squares in this pattern, but I'm only stitching 5 of them. And I'm stitching them on 32 count Mercedes Lugana by Picture This Plus. Last year I worked on them for a total of 15 stitching days, and this is a picture of what they looked like last time. And here's a picture of where they were at the beginning of the year, which I think should be the same picture. And then since then, I've worked on them 3 days so far this year. Let me get a pen. I don't want them unraveling all the way. So here they are. I started these at StitchCon. So I'm starting off with the seagulls, who represent the air to me. I've got the pirate who walks on the land. Next up, I'm working on the sandcastle being built by an octopus. Underneath him, I'm going to have the sharks floating in the water, and then on the bottom of the water I'm going to have the squid with the anchor. So kind of going from highest in the sky down to lowest in the sea. And these guys are just adorable. This fabric, it's not showing up very well. It looks just like blue water. So I'm really enjoying these guys. They're my current beach piece. I've decided that I kind of want to have a beach piece on the go and a woodland themed piece on the go. So my current beach piece. I'm not sure if I said this, 15 days last year, 3 days so far this year. And I'm hoping that I can get these guys finished before StitchCon. I would love to take them as my show-off piece this year. So then a finish that I had on July 24th, 2022 would be my Caroling by Mill Hill. And here they are. It took me 16 days this year, plus 2 days last year, for a total of 18 days. And by last year I mean 2021. I started this in 2021, just did 2 days on it, and then finished it up this year with 16 more days. This is on 28 count ash gray lugana. And I finished these on July 24th, so that on July 25th, I could start the Bookseller. So I have enough fabric on this piece of fabric to do 6 of them. My plan was to make a whole Christmas village out of these and make them into flat folds. The Bookseller, I only worked on it for that one day when I started it. So it hasn't really been calling to me, but it is one of the 6 WIPs that I started the year with for 2023. And then I have another start and finish for 2022, and that would be the Raccoon by Cottage Garden Samplings. And this is what it looked like last time I was here. This is stitched on 32 count cinnamon roll by Grace Notes Fabrics, and it took me 14 recorded days to finish this piece. Again, I was not the most consistent in tracking all of my days last year, so that's just the recorded days. There might have been some days that I forgot to write it down. And since last time I finished on November 21st, 2022. There he is. One thing, the fabric is a little bit more pink than I would like. I would like it to have been more of a brown color. But he is beautiful. I love his tail. I love his face. I love the yellow windows in the house down here. He is wonderful. So since I finished him, I need another woodland piece to work on. And so I started Swamp Witch by Forest Embroidery. I started this on December 27th, 2022. And it is on 32 count dulce de leche lugana by Fiber on a Whim. And I'll show you a picture of what it looked like at the beginning of the year. And I've put 1 day of work on it this year so far. I'm changing some of the colors, so it came as a kit with overdyed flosses from Forest Embroidery, and just the variegation is just not my thing. I prefer them to be solid and even colors. There's some squirrels outside distracting me, chasing each other up and down. So I have changed the brown on the cattails to be solid brown. And then to have the frogs show up more, I changed them to a solid green color. So this year I did one of the frogs, frog to frog, and put him back in. And I'm really enjoying how this is turning out so far. Once I finish this one, I also have Grandfather Mushroom by Forest Embroidery, and I think that will be my next woodland piece once this one is finished. Okay, and then I had one more start last year, and that is Ornament Log Cabin Home by Heaven and Earth Designs. I started this on October 15th, 2022. And I did 9 days of stitching for 2,902 stitches last year, or 3% of the piece. I'll put a pin in this one. And this is stitched on 25 count easy grid lugana. This should be the same place that it was last time you saw it. Been working in the trees. Haven't worked on it since November. But there it is. Beautiful. So those are all the things that I started or finished last year. I had 2 full coverage WIPs going into the beginning of the year, and I'll show them to you now. So first up, we have Victorian Christmas Eve by the Cross Stitch Arts. I'll show you what it looked like at the beginning of 2022, and what it looked like last time I showed it to you. I did a total of 28 stitching days on it last year for 5,493 stitches, or 11.7% of the total piece, which brings me up to a total of 8,698 stitches, or 18.5% of the completed piece. So here it is. I believe since the last time I showed it to you, I finished the little girl. I worked on the doorway, that's the large bit of yellow, and I started working on this lady in red. I had a goal to do 10,000 stitches on this last year. I only got 56% of my goal done. I'm not sure what my goal is going to be on this piece this year. Okay, and then if you stuck around this long, you get to see A Place of Her Own, which is also a Heaven and Earth Designs artwork by James Christensen. I'm stitching on an 18 count sand aida, and I had 103 recorded days of stitching last year. That's probably a low number. There's probably more days that I didn't write down, but I did 22,629 stitches, or 7.4% of the whole piece. At the end of the year, I had a total of 224,827 stitches, or 73.4% of the piece completed. So I'm going to show you a picture of what it looked like at the beginning of last year, what it looked like the last time I showed it to you, what it looked like at the beginning of the year, beginning of 2023 that is, and then what it looks like now I will show to you. So far this year I've done 2,187 stitches, and I am now at a total of 74% complete. So I'm getting close to the 75% mark. I can't wait to reach it. And since it is the beginning of the year, I'm going to go ahead, stand up, and show you the entire piece. So here we have the lady in the tapestry in the background with the unicorn and the lion. There's a bunny down in the black hopping around. We've got the sheet of music on top of some books. Go across to see the lady's face reading a book. You can see a picture frame, and there's a fish in the background. Here we have, I believe, Socrates with the bust of Plato. It's a Rembrandt painting. There's some more fish in the background. A map showing the UK and Spain. Some cushions. More of the lady in her dress. Large deck of books. There's tile floor with a carpet on top of it. So you can see that since last year, I believe when I started the year, I was at the edge of the tile with the fringe carpet. I did those books, and I came over to get started on her dress. I didn't finish the row of pages, which I was hoping to do last year. This year, I've decided that I have been bogged down in that dress for too long, so I came back over here and I've been working on a different row, trying to work my way down to the bottom of the piece. The end of the gridding is the end of the piece. So that's where I'm at right now. So just to do a recap, I have A Place of Her Own, Victorian Christmas Eve, Ornament Log Cabin Home. Those are my 3 full coverage pieces at the moment. I have The Mill Hill, the Bookseller. I have Saltwater Scrapbook as my beach themed piece, and Swamp Witch as my woodland themed piece. So that's 6 WIPs here at the beginning of 2023. I don't have plans to start anything until I finish something that I'm already working on. I would like to make sure I finish Saltwater Scrapbook probably by May so that I have time to get it framed before StitchCon in June, and I would like to finish Swamp Witch this year. So that's just a rough overview of my plans for the rest of the year and a quick recap of everything that I did last year. So thank you all for joining me today. I'd love to hear from you in the comments, even if it's just to say hi. I love knowing that people are out there watching and that I get to share my cross stitch with them. There's not anybody in my real life that I get to share this stuff with that much. And so it's always great to be part of the community of Flosstubers and people watching Flosstube. I know I'm not the most consistent, but really in October and November I didn't get a lot of stitching done. In December I was trying to push for a couple of finishes, which I got to share with you today. And thank you all for spending time with me, and I will catch up with you next time.